Justin Jefferson agrees to a 4-year, $140 million contract extension with the Minnesota Vikings. According to reports, the deal includes $110 million in total guarantees, $80 million guaranteed at signing. Michael Lombardi.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, there's a lot of ways to look at the contract, right? But let's start with Jefferson. I mean, he really deserved it. He played extremely well. I mean, the night of the draft, the Eagles take Jalen Reagor. We won't mention that. That's still a sore subject. Everybody in Philly wanted Jefferson, and they took Reagor instead. I think they blamed Doug Peterson for that, and that's why he's probably down in Jacksonville. But nonetheless, this is a tremendous player who's benefited from the offensive scheme that's been there. And Kevin O'Connell last year made some incredible plays, 264 first downs in his 4 years, 30 touchdowns over 4 years, average 15 yards per catch. So, I mean, look, it wasn't a question of when if he was going to get a new deal. It was when it happened. Now, the numbers are always, you can jockey them around a little bit, right? And so when you break it down based on Sports Tech, which is a salary cap website, they say this is a 4-year deal of 125.7 of practical dollars, meaning that there's new money in the deal with 88.7 guaranteed. Makes sense. But that number falls below 32 per year, which is what A.J. Brown got from the Eagles. So we're going to have to weigh this thing out. He did not get $35 million based on the numbers I'm looking at. And so A.J. Brown still would be the highest paid non-quarterback player in the league, slightly above Nick Bosa, excuse me. So we'll have to see. But he's deserving of it. And now the ripple effect comes into play. Now, as I tweeted out, Stormy, Tyreek Hill's agent immediately is calling. And Miami's got to do something. They can't neglect it, because when you compare both players, you know, one guy's played 124 games, the other guy's played 60. You know, one guy has had 10,000 yards receiving, 76 touchdowns receiving. You know, he's got more numbers because he's older, but still he's going to want to get a little bit of a bump and a little taste, because that's the way this works. If you can cut me and redo my deal, I can ask for more when someone makes more than me.
Yeah, Tyreek is calling, and, you know, CeeDee Lamb is certainly calling as well. And I wanted to present this to you because Adam Schefter on Twitter, he posted a side-by-side of the numbers between Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb. And a lot of people are looking at these numbers on the surface and saying, hey, a lot of these are really comparable. CeeDee Lamb, monster numbers last year while Jefferson was hurt, but he's had more monster years. The thing I want to get across to people, because while I think CeeDee Lamb is incredibly talented and deserving of a big new contract as well, I do not think that it is the same as Justin Jefferson. And here are a few reasons why. Jefferson has 700 more yards in 6 fewer games played. He's played 60 career games through this point in anyone's career who has ever played the game, has more than 300 yards more than anyone else. And like I said in hour one, if you want to see the true value of Justin Jefferson, look at the bank account of Kirk Cousins and what he has done to help Cousins continue to grow and secure contracts. In my mind, CeeDee Lamb is great. CeeDee Lamb is not Justin Jefferson. So I understand that Jefferson has reset the market, and CeeDee Lamb is probably trying to see if he can get more than Justin Jefferson. And I think that would be a moot point because he does not deserve the same contract.
Right. But here's the good news if you're the Dallas Cowboys. If this deal is what I gave you earlier in the segment, slightly below 32, he deserves that deal. He's going to get that deal, maybe not more than Jefferson, but that's an easy deal. Where it becomes hard for Jerry is if this number is 35, like being reported,
correct,
which it doesn't appear that way. If it's 35, that you're going to have a hard time getting anybody done. But if it's slightly below the 32 of A.J. Brown, I think Lamb may not get above him, but he's going to get close to him, which makes it a deal. See, the hardest thing in this sport is to figure out what's good and what's great. You don't mind overpaying for greatness. Where you get in trouble is when you overpay for good. And there's a lot of teams at the receiver position that have overpaid or overdrafted for just good.
So, Michael, from that dollars and cents perspective, I agree with you. I think that CeeDee Lamb will be in that 32 to 35 million a year range. It'll be in that wheelhouse. Why are these numbers that are reported different from the ones that they are in actuality? And with that in mind, like, how come we're all perceiving this as $35 million and it's not really that?
Well, because a lot of people don't understand contracts. So what's the new money?
Well,
right?
hold on. Real quickly to follow that up then why do you think Justin Jefferson accepted this deal if it wasn't higher and in that real actual wheelhouse of what we expected it to be?
Because I think he got $88.7 million. There's two negotiations, Stormy. There is average per year, and then there is average per year, and then there's guaranteed money. And so when you're sitting there looking at almost $90 million of guaranteed money over the next 4 years, which you're going to earn 125.7, you saying to yourself, okay, it's hard for me to turn that down. And, if I want to hold out for $3 more million per year, this could take a while. Plus, let's not forget, Jefferson had a contract. See, we keep forgetting this. Like, they picked up his option. So he had a contract. And because he had a contract, that contract is still there, right? That contract is still there. Now, I think when you look at it, when you break it down, you have to really, now I'm looking at this other, he gets, his contract this year was the option year. So they tore that up and they gave him the signing bonus of $37.4 million, right? He has per game roster bonuses in there that average $2 million. He's got a workout bonus that's $1 million. And so in his third year of the deal, only 18 point something is guaranteed. So, you look at it, he's got a cash payout over the first couple of years that he's making this kind of money. It's hard to turn that down.
Yeah, and I'll continue to leave the math to you, but it was very telling to look at that guaranteed money graphic for wide receivers. Justin Jefferson is significantly more. Yeah.
Let me answer your question. What they don't do is they don't count the last year. So so they add 4 years of $140 million is $35 per year, right? But he's got 5 years on the deal.
Sure.
So, they just disregard the 1 year. You can't disregard that. He goes all the way out till he's 29 years old. At his base salary will be $33.2 million.
Regardless,
and every year he has option bonuses.
Yeah. I was just going to say, regardless, good for Justin Jefferson. He deserves the payday. The guaranteed money there is significantly more than any other wide receiver that we have seen. He posted on X after the deal was officially official. Something that once was a dream is now my reality. There are so many people I can sit here and thank, but you all know who you are that helped me along the way, and we ain't stopping here. There's more to be done. Skol. So this deal does now secure his services through 2028, which, as we talked about earlier, the same window as his young new quarterback that just got drafted in J.J. McCarthy. And it's great when you have the rookie deal and you can pay other people, just like we saw with the Houston Texans. C.J. Stroud has this amazing offensive rookie of the year season. And because he's on his rookie contract, you can pay these other pieces around him and bring in some of the pieces that they did in free agency because you can afford that. I was also curious your thought process on all the conversations around Minnesota and potentially doing the draft day trade. I know we talked last week about, hey, Justin Jefferson could be available at the right price to go somewhere else. Was there any part of you that was surprised that Minnesota got this deal done and said, no, we're keeping our guy? We fielded calls, but we weren't interested in anything and sending him anywhere else.
Well, I think the reality is you cannot trade a Pro Bowl young player at 25 years old and for a draft choice. You don't know what you're going to get. You have no idea. You trade Eric Dickerson for 3 number 1s and 2 number 2s. And when you add up all those draft picks, you end up saying, wait a minute, we didn't give up anything for this guy. The picks were horrible, And so, if they could have gotten back, and Schefter reported that they were never going to do it, but there was a report out there that said that if they could get Neighbors, which makes sense, if you believe Neighbors is an elite player, to replace him in a salary cap, that's probably the right thing to do, assuming that Neighbors is as elite as you think he is. But at least you can feel it. You have tangible evidence of what you're going to get back. But when you just say, I'm going to trade Jefferson for 2 number 1s and 2 number 2, you have no idea really what you're trading for. You're fishing. You don't know what you're going to catch. Maybe a horrible year in the draft. It may be a horrible receiver draft. You just don't know. And they had a year of a contract, so they were in the perfect position to do it because, again, that year, he's not going to hold out. He's got to do a deal, and you're going to be able to make a hay. And I think ultimately that's what he did.
Expectations for the Minnesota Vikings coming up this season, not particularly high. 6.5, the win total. They're plus 300 to make the postseason. 10-1, very long shot in the division as well. As for Jefferson specifically, 15-1 in the Offensive Player of the Year market. 5th on the odds board behind Hill, Christian McCaffrey, CeeDee Lamb, and Jamar Chase.